The Atlanta Braves lose to the Chicago Cubs 4-3, but the rookies look good. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That is Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Make sure you follow him on social media at shortstop ball. Subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts. He's had a ton of content coming up recently. We're going to talk about 4-3 loss by the Braves to the Cubs. We're going to talk about some of the offensive stuff. We'll eventually get to like Joey wins and things like that. I just want to start with the two rookie relievers because tough game for Joey Wentz. We're going to get to him, okay? But after he leaves the game, Roldy Munoz makes his MLB debut, covers 2 innings. Hayden Harris pitches an inning. Dylan Dodd pitches an inning. Those 3 guys combined for 4 innings, no hits, 2 total base runners, both on walks by Munoz. Let's start with Munoz first. His stuff is filthy. It is easy gas. The slider he got the strikeout on was fantastic. Just kind of maybe feels like he doesn't always know where it's going. Reminds me a lot of a guy like a Daysabel Hernandez, right? Stuff's really good. Velocity's great. Slider has a ton of bite to it. Doesn't always have the ability to throw it for strikes, but I thought he looked really, really good for a dude making his first career Major League appearance and doing it in that ballpark against that team in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it there. It's a guy with huge stuff. I mean, if he could just start that sinker down the middle every at bat and just let it run in, it looks like it has about 10 inches of run on it. I mean, it's really good stuff. You're talking upper 90s. I mean, there's no question about the type of stuff that he has with that sinker. But it has just been the walks. I mean, a walk per 9 over 5 this year at the minor league level. It's been better than that in the past. That's probably what's held him back from getting at it. Because correct me if I'm wrong here, Lindsay, I think he was somebody that got added to the 40-man roster in the offseason because he was Rule 5 eligible.
I believe so, yes.
And so the Braves wanted to keep him around because of the big-time stuff. So with all it's not a Hayden Harris situation. He was already on the 40-man roster. I think the main thing just holding him back from getting opportunity was just the command and the walks. But you can see the type of stuff that he has if he's able to control it. I mean, it's a setup, possibly even closer type potential for Roldy Munoz. That's how good that fastball is. And we got to see some of that tonight, especially in that first inning. So, love what he can potentially be. We know what the upside is. And now we get a chance to see him for the rest of the month.
Yeah. And I really do think that you had something kind of there with the just throw it down the middle of the plate. And this is something, I think it was it Murphy was doing this with Hurston Waldrop, and the Tampa Bay Rays have been really big on this now for a couple seasons, where the goal is just to set up middle for everything, understanding that the average pitcher is going to miss by 8 inches or so, and all this stuff has wicked movement. You just try to throw it middle, and normally it's going to end up somewhere else. But either way, I do think it was a fantastic debut. Excited to see what he can do. And kind of like you, I do think his ceilings may be a little bit higher as far as his eventual 90th percentile outcome on what role he could hold, setup man, closer, whatever. Hayden Harris also looked really good. Averaged 93, threw a little bit harder today than he did in the minors. That's kind of a common thing, right? Guys making their debuts in the majors, they're a little amped up. 12 pitches, 11 four-seamers. He throws that pitch 70% of the time in the minors, and got 2 whiffs. I thought he looked really good as well. And the biggest thing was he just looked comfortable. That was the surprising part to me, because so many of these guys, you feel like when they first come up, they're a little nervous. The fact that Michael Harris made the catch, and the first thing he did was kind of turn to Michael Harris and accuse him of putting a little extra seasoning on it. Like, hey, you didn't have to slide on that and you did, tells me that he's an extremely confident young man. He knows his stuff is good. And he was, again, feeling the adrenaline, but just felt like he belonged. He kind of looked like he belonged in the majors.
Yeah, definitely had that confidence to him. And like, gotta imagine as confident he is, 26-year-old, it's not like he's a super young prospect out here. So a little bit, seasoned himself. Certainly brought some confidence. You got to imagine there's some nerves in there too. And you're seeing him pump up the velocity. I mean, he's averaging more 91, 92 in the minor, seeing some upper 90s in there as well. And don't want to take too much away from his first start, but he did give up some pretty loud outs there and had some fortunate results in the outfield. So look, we'll see. I mean, again, I'm not going to take too much from either of these guys in their first big league outings today, but as I have the podcast coming out, just to tease it on Wednesday, looking at what's interesting to watch the rest of the season in September, those are two of the guys. I mean, I want to see what they can do. Can they be big parts of this bullpen? Because that's going to play into the offseason and how aggressive the Braves are going to be and how many legitimate bullpen arms they need to go get. So it's a big month here. Some big outings left for both Munoz and Dodd and Harris the rest of the way. We've seen a lot more of Dodd already, but specifically for Harris and Munoz getting their first opportunities. Really looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to Joey Wentz before we talk about the offense and the loss and everything. This was one of those weird outings where he struck out 8, but he kind of gave up a lot of hard contact, gives up 4 runs across 4 innings, 1 total homer. Kyle Tucker, kind of a mistake pitch there. The joke there is, he threw a 4-seam, I think it was a 4-seam fastball, and it was middle up. If he had thrown a cutter, it was going to run off the plate. It was going to run to the outer third of the plate and probably end up being a foul ball. But I think I'm at the point now. It feels like Joey Wentz has come back to earth a little bit. And I think I'm at the point of his most effective usage next year is likely as some sort of long man out of the pen, bulk kind of guy. Like, I think he has value. You don't just get rid of him. You keep him around. But I think if you get to a point next season where you need Joey Wentz to be in your everyday rotation, a lot of things went wrong for you like they did this year. I kind of feel like that's where he's settled now after a little bit of time in the majors for the sample size to get pretty normalized.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think, if the Braves had to move him off the roster, it's not something I'm going to lose too much sleep over.
Right.
But I think the Braves would like to keep him around just to have that depth. And again, he's out of options. So I think the Braves would love to keep him around just for that depth if you need a starter, if injuries do come. And so he may have to play that swing man role early on in the season, so the Braves don't have to option him just to keep him on the roster. Yeah. This was an interesting start, though, because, like you said, he had the 8 strikeouts, he had the 13 whiffs, and I'm glad that Baseball Savant is categorizing this pitch correctly. Because, Lindsay, I'm sorry, it is not a cutter. Visually, it doesn't look like a cutter. Baseball Savant's not reading it like a cutter. It's a slider. There is way too much horizontal break on that.
No.
It is not a cutter.
No, it is the vertical drop on that makes it a cutter. It's also what the player calls it. I've been told that he calls it a cutter himself. That is what
that's a slider. A cutter doesn't move that much like that. That is a slider.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
But yeah, I mean, it's really just that third inning, and you had the 8-9, or I think the 9-1 hitters. You had the 9 hitter. He got jam shot to right field, and then you had Nico Horner take a pitch that was below the zone, just had a really good swing, and then he did throw the cutter slider that stayed in on Tucker, and he blasted it foul. And then so Murphy tries to switch it up, go with the fastball that he wants on the outside corner, and he leaves it middle up, and Tucker just deposited it in the left field bleachers. And that was really just the sequence there. I mean, outside of that, I thought he threw the ball pretty well. He was getting to too many deep counts that ran up his pitch count. And in that third inning in particular, got into a lot of 2-strike counts and just couldn't put hitters away. So, I mean, I'm there too. I'm watching, thinking, okay, well, I'm out on Joey Wentz, but then you kind of look into it a little bit more and you're like, man, there's really good stuff in here too that you can see from. It's really just that 3-batter sequence he had in the third inning where things kind of got away.
Yeah. And if I remember right, they had it during the broadcast. I was listening to the radio for part of this. I want to say he had 7 different batters where he got to at least a 2-2 count, if not 3-2. And it's just something, to your point, he just wasn't able to get them put away. I think a big part of that is he just wasn't really getting swings on the curveball. I feel like when he's like, that's been a weapon for him to get some whiffs later in at bats, right? He can get them to 2 strikes. He can leave it below the zone. He 33% zone rate on that, but he threw 24. He only got 10 swings on it, and only 3 of them were whiffs. It felt like they just were not chasing it below the zone. In the zone swing, 88%. Out of zone swing, 19. He didn't have the put away pitch today because he couldn't get the curveball he couldn't get them to chase the curveball. And I do think you can you rerun this outing, it probably goes a little bit differently. To your point, 2 or 3 pitches different. I think we're looking at this outing okay. But yeah, I'm not going to lose sleep if he ends up being gone, but I want him to stick around because that is still a useful arm and useful innings and all of that. In just a second, let's talk about the offense. Ha-Seong Kim had a couple hits in this one, little questionable defense at times. Ronald Acuna Jr. still kind of quiet. We'll break all that down next, right here on the Braves Postcast. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right with your decisions means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Easy way to stay locked in for the season. Honestly, one of my favorite ways to pass time and follow along with football games that I want to watch, but I'm not invested in emotionally. You can check projections. You can throw out some stuff that just feels too high or too low. Do it all on vibes, and it's fun. So download the Prize Pick app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Upside. Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use our limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. We have 3 different gas stations right near our house that is on Upside. We can see not only how much cash back each one's offering in the app, but also the updated prices of those gas stations. So we figure out, hey, we need gas. Which one are we going to go to based on both the price and the discount that we're getting? Totally legit. We've gotten paid just to make our daily commutes. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or some sort of e-gift card. We use ours to fund the Starbucks habit, right? So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using our limited time promo code SEASON for a 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Now, offers vary by user and location, so go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, Jake, Braves lose this one 4-3 to the Cubs. Offense, 8 hits, but I felt like a lot of it is just concentrated in a couple of players. Ozzie Albies, 2 for 4, hits a homer. Marcell Ozuna, 2 for 4, which I kind of did not have that on my bingo card entering this game. We all wanted Drake Baldwin in the DH spot. Eli White has the solo shot there. Ha-Seong Kim goes 2 for 4, including a really clutch base hit in the 9th inning, and really kind of an impressive sequence where he takes a called strike for the second pitch. He's down 0-1, takes a called strike down and away of a fastball. And then when they go back to that to try to put him away on the 5th pitch of the at-bat, he puts that one in play as a hard hit ball. Before we get to the offense as a whole, I was a little impressed with Ha-Seong Kim, just his approach at the plate and some of the power that he showed. Had a ball hit like 107, had a 97.6. How much of that is just I'm used to watching Nick Allen bat versus how much of that was Ha-Seong Kim was legitimately having some good at-bats tonight?
Look, 107 is 107. So, I mean, that's something he's capable of doing. I don't care, who it is. It's an impressive swing. But, look, that's kind of what you're hoping for with Ha-Seong Kim. honestly, it's now, you think of the last two big acquisitions, Profar and Kim, both coming, from the Padres, both types of hitters that kind of prioritize contact. And you just wonder if this is an approach change that the Braves are hoping to make along with Tim Hires, and that's kind of the direction that they're going. But that's really what you expect from Kim, a guy that's going to put the ball in play, is going to take his walks. But what's different about him, and Profar's shown this too, this isn't a comparison with Profar necessarily, but good speed. I mean, you see him beat out that ball, and he's stolen over 20 bases twice, and he has that in him. So I think that's the type of hitter you're hoping you're going to get from Kim, somebody that can be a 700, 750 OPS, which is 200, 250 points higher than what you're getting now at shortstop. So, I mean, that would be a major improvement. The defense, as you alluded to earlier, one game, and the guy's had a lot of injuries this year with his back and his shoulder.
First game back since early August.
So, and those are tough plays, especially the one that just kind of went under his glove. But that is something to watch the rest of the way. And he's been a Gold Glover. I believe the Gold Glove was at second base, though. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Utility. He played second, third, and short that year, but it was more second than short or third.
Yeah. So I mean, that's great. I mean, he can play all over, and anywhere he's been, even when he was full-time shortstop, it was good defense there. So that's what you come to expect, and that's what you hope to see this last month. And I know we talked about a podcast. I know you talked about it in yours. Kind of doesn't matter because he's probably going to pick up that $16 million option anyway, no matter how he plays the rest of this month.
I mean, if he hits 300 with, 10 homers and 10 stolen bags in September, we would love to see it, but maybe that would cause him to go ahead and just opt out and head to free agency. But it's likely he picks up that option. Yeah. I felt like the offense was making really good contact today and just not getting the results. And I know that we're not going to do the thing everybody wants to hear where we talk about, 7 hits on 18 hard hit balls or whatever it was. But like Atlanta had the 5 hardest hit balls in this game. They were scalding baseballs. And some of it was just Cubs players making good plays. Matt Shaw at third base with a couple different picks. We saw some good outfield plays, catch at the wall, things like that. But like one of the guys who kind of really paid for quality contact that didn't pay off was Ronald Acuna Jr. tonight. He doesn't have a hit. He's had a really cold series. But he had 2 balls at over 100 miles an hour. Both of them were outs. One of them was 380 feet. Expected batting average of 630, and it was a routine fly out. It kind of feels like he's really going through it. I don't think anything's wrong with Ronald. It's just a slump, but I feel like it's kind of at the worst possible time because obviously you want to end the season hot.
Yeah, and it's... Look, Ronald's trying his best. I'm not trying to imply anything here too, but it's also just frustrating. You're in a lost season. Your team's out of it. You've been trying to battle through, coming back from injuries this year, and he just looks frustrated visibly. I've heard some people say, he doesn't look like he's into it. Well, it's hard to be into it when your team's out of it and you're struggling at the moment. But hopefully this is a good sign tonight. Like you said, some good contact, a lot of good contact by the Braves. But most of that wasn't good launch angles. The only one that really was that didn't go for a hit was the Acuna one that you mentioned, going 380 feet. That's a rough one you wanted to see there. Just hit it to the wrong part of the ballpark. But hopefully he's close. And as you mentioned, lost season. But you want to see a lot of these guys, kind of finish strong. Ronald being one of them. You'd like to see him get on a tear here to end the season.
Yeah, would definitely be nice. All right, so I have to mention, Atlanta's now 19-33 in one-run games. Like, this is a 365 winning percentage. I know they're having a rough season. It feels like if this comes close to a 500 winning percentage, this season looks completely different for Atlanta. Some of the changes we're expecting to see: no Marcell Ozuna next year. Drake Baldwin's going to get to play a lot more. Should have been in the lineup tonight and wasn't, obviously, a DH. Although Ozuna got 2 hits. So, I mean, I don't know. Baldwin needs to play every day. I wrote about that on the newsletter. We've both talked about that. It's fine. But, seeing what we've seen from Profar, seeing what we've seen from Harris and guys like that, seeing what the offenses look like, seeing what Waldrop's look like, those guys having full seasons in Atlanta, hopefully doing what they're doing now, plus some luck in one-run games, just even getting back to 500, it feels like this team has the pieces to be a contender next year. Like, they have work to do. They're not done, people. But it feels like they absolutely have the pieces, right?
Yeah, I mean, the pieces are there. The core is there. Something's just fundamentally off this year, like from the get-go.
Yeah.
We talk about the Profar suspension, kind of maybe threw things off early, whatever the case may be. Something was just off this season for this team. But the core is there. You've seen it. You see what this team is capable of. So they're not that far off, but things do need to be shaken up. I think they need to bring in a stud or two. Or one on the pitching side, maybe one on the hitting side, maybe shake up the coaching staff. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, this team's not as far off as many seem to want to believe.
Yeah, like this is something that's fixable in one off season with some modest and realistic spending and a really good managerial hire. I think it's kind of where I feel we are with this. All right, so series finale tomorrow, not a getaway game since Atlanta has Thursday off. Bryce Elder versus Cade Horton. So Cade Horton's right behind Drake Baldwin in Rookie of the Year odds. We really got to see Drake Baldwin in this game. He needs to take Cade Horton deep. I've been told that increases your odds of winning Rookie of the Year if you can hit the guy who's in front of you or who's behind you. So we'll see what happens there. That game's at 7:40. We'll be back to break that game down. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Jake has tons of comment. You heard him tease it. Tomorrow, talking all about what to watch for down the stretch from these Atlanta Braves so that you can feel confident that they have the pieces to contend in 2026. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.